Welcome back, everybody, to your daily dose of Diablo. My name is Mr. LemonC, and in today's video, we are going to discuss shrines. Now, I have a very in-depth video about shrines and a lot of the technical aspects of them. And here I want to talk a little bit more in a simpler version where I just kind of discuss usefulness of shrines, shrines as they, come and go. And I'll talk about, like those technical details as well. But I wanted to give kind of the simpler, hey, when is a shrine good? When should you be using it? What should you be looking for? All of that. And then a little bit about spawning them and some of the fun pieces as well. Because I love shrines. Honestly, this is like one of my favorite topics to talk about. So I could do like tons of videos on shrines. So let's dive in because shrines has a lot to discuss. So here are shrines. Shrines are magical structures that are scattered around sanctuary. And so you find them around in your areas, and they can be very nice to find and stuff, right? Fandom. The shrine. I feel like the shrine dock is fine. You don't need to have the perfect shrine dock that has. That's a little far. That has everything and whatever. And there's not even a shrines tab on Amazon Basin, which is unfortunate. But let's discuss anyways. So first, shrines remove curse, but also can be cursed off, right? So you have to always be aware whenever you're taking a shrine somewhere that, of course, if you try and take it into the Chaos Sanctuary, it's pretty worthless. It's going to get cursed off immediately. If you try and take it to Baal's throne room, if you go, forward in Baal's throne room, it's going to get cursed off, right? Because of Decrepify there. So always be aware and think about like what monsters will curse in whatever capacity, because that can remove your shrines and make it unfortunate there. At the same time, if I do get cursed, a lot of times the first thing I'm looking for is a shrine or a well. So I can get that off because, of course, like amp damage curse, 100% extra damage, you're just getting crushed. So let's look through the shrines that we have, because there's a few pieces to note. Number one, what the shrine is, the name or the message, whatever, what the effect of the shrine is, the duration of the shrine, and then the recharge of the shrine. So this means, does it come back, right? So mana recharge right here is going to give you 400% mana recharge rate. This is just a really good mana regen. I just can't speak right now. The duration is 96 seconds. This is, if you'll note, these are kind of like weird times, but it's because Diablo 2 runs at 25 FPS instead of 30, and so that's 5/6, and 96, I believe, is 5/6 of 120 seconds, which would be 2 minutes, right? So that is where you get that like difference. 20 FPS was the original plan. Okay. So is it 4/6? Well, let's see. 120 times 5 divided by 6 is 100. That's not quite there. Regardless, something around there. So essentially, you'll see the duration is set at like 2 minutes, but 96 times 20 divided by 25. That's what I want. 96 times 20 divided by 25 is what I wanted. Or 96 times 25 is 2400 frames. Divided by 20 is 120 seconds equals 2 minutes. Yes. So it's 4/5, not 5/6. Yes. Sorry. So that is the math of it. And this also, if you played old StarCraft Brood War, it also, you would notice that the time ran a little bit faster there as well. It was the same idea. So a minute there was like 48 seconds, right? Anytime that there was an in-game minute was actually 48 seconds. So this is in-game 2 minutes, but actually 96 seconds. So Blizzard time, yeah. So this is, you're going to see for these 3 shrines, they are only 1.5 minutes mana recharge, armor, and combat. Again, recharge means that the shrine comes back. So after 5 minutes, the shrine will reappear again, which is very useful. This can be very useful, and I'll give some tips on this in a second. But let's go through all the shrines first. Mana recharge for the mana regen rate. It's actually pretty solid, and it's very good early on. Armor, pretty worthless. Again, defense, just because when you are running ever, your defense drops to 0. Any like defense is really kind of sad unless you're just like a zealot or whatever character that just like stands there and hits over and over again. So you can have some characters where they run high defense and it's good, but a lot of times defense just is not that great in the game because of that. Combat Shrine, 200% attack rating, 200% min max damage. This is treated as offhand ED, essentially, right? Technically, it's going to probably be like a slightly different way, but when it does the actual calculation, I went and tested this, it is treated in combination with your offhand ED. So if you have Fortitude, this is just 200% more added to that, so you'd have 500%, 300% from Fort and 200% from this. So it's like 200% ED, you can essentially think of it. And then 200% to attack rating. So it's actually really nice for an attack rating boost. This is kind of more what I would say it really helps, but it can help the damage early on especially. This is a really nice shrine to have for a lot of boss fights and stuff that you can go and save for later on. Yeah, and this, for the attack rating, is treated as a separate multiplier. So it is very good for attack rating and just like mildly okay for damage. Resist fire is just 75% to resist fire. Cold is to cold. Lightning is to lightning. Pretty standard. Poison is to poison. Skill Shrine is +2 to all skill levels. Again, note these are 144 seconds. So 3 minutes. And a skill shrine is 96 seconds, right? So this goes back down to the shorter amount of time. However, skill shrines are extremely useful on your playthroughs, especially for characters that are a little bit underpowered. If you are an early level sorceress, if you are an early level necromancer, like any of these characters, being able to take your charge bolt or your teeth or whatever it is and get +2 skills to it is really a giant boost. You will notice the power difference. And this is also why being able to shop like +2 to teeth on a wand or something is extremely useful, because that's essentially like having a permanent skill shrine with you. So really a great shrine, probably the second best shrine that you can have in the early game, sometimes the best in certain cases. Stamina Shrine, it's fine. The best thing about a Stamina Shrine is that it's 192 seconds. So when you have this shrine, you can just run around forever, right? Like it is a 4-minute shrine, right? Because this is a 2-minute shrine, technically. So this is a 4-minute shrine in Blizzard time, and very good. And then Experience Shrine, 50% more experience per kill. Obviously, this is amazing. And it's also a 3-minute shrine at 144 seconds, which is really nice. So Experience Shrines, you know, I would assume they would only be at like the 96, but they're actually at the 144. But they do not respawn. So notice all these other shrines recharge every 5 minutes, and Experience Shrine does not recharge. Refilling Shrine just fully refills your health and mana. Health Shrine for health, Mana Shrine for mana. These are every 2 minutes that they will respawn. So that's really nice. You can always come back if you need to just hit those again. A Portal Shrine opens a portal to town in the current act. It will never disappear. It can be really nice, but it can also be really annoying, because sometimes if you're in like the Throne of Destruction or I mean wherever, you know, let's just say you're in the Worldstone Keep level 2, and then you open a TP somewhere else in the Worldstone Keep level 2 and you go to town, you can be like, wait, which one is mine and which one is this one? So it can be a little bit annoying sometimes. But this can also be very useful just as a place to treat it like a waypoint, essentially, a temporary waypoint, because you can go back and forth with it. So as long as you don't leave the game, you're good. A fire shrine is actually really good. A lot of people think this is bad. Again, I'll go through these and give more like nuanced cases, but all nearby players and monsters lose half their current hit points if hit. So, especially if you're like on players 8 or something, this can be really, really beneficial, as you can just instantly damage all the mobs around you for half their life, and then you just like drink a health potion. So you just have to be careful, and make sure that you're not like in a bad spot when you touch it. But otherwise, it's really nice to get a lot of damage on. Explosive Shrine, Exploding Shrine just drops exploding potions and then does a little explosion around it. Not very good. Poison Shrine is actually really nice if you can get it early on in the game. The choking gas potions can be worth money, but the poison will just murder everything in like, all of just like the Blood Moor, the Cold Plains, I love getting this for Rakanishu. If you can get Rakanishu around it, just instantly like kills him and all his minions, which can be super nice. A Monster Shrine, the nearest monster to you becomes unique or champion. This is just okay. It's nice for like magic finding to come across, but for experience wise, it's not that good, because you have to remember that the like all of the minions with a boss really add up into it being good experience. So a lot of times if you're just fighting just a unique or champion monster and no minions whatsoever, the experience is kind of lame from it, right? You want to be able to get more stuff. And then a gem shrine upgrades a random gem or skull in your inventory, or gives a random one if neither is in their inventory. Gems inside the project cube will not be upgraded. I actually don't think it does drop a chip skull. Maybe it does. But this is not actually random, and we'll talk about that in a second. But note that none of these shrines have a recharge whatsoever. These are just one and done uses. So before we dive into all of that, I want to go into the technical pieces of this. And we've looked at this file and the other one, and I'll just talk really quickly on it. So here are the different shrines. This is the game files of Diablo 2. Here are the different shrines. Here is the shrine type, magic, booster, recharge. And then what it does is just right over here. Temporarily gains this, randomly selects a gem, blah, blah, blah. The important things I want you to note from this that we don't have before are going to be level min. So everything within here is normal in all of this stuff. The really important thing to note is level min, because what level min does is this tells it when the game can spawn that shrine. So for instance, a combat shrine does not spawn until level 8. A resist lightning shrine does not spawn until level 32. Now, we've discussed this before, that you think, oh, level 32. I'm actually going to pull this up really fast, and let me go here, go to levels. And, oh, I have it already right there. I've talked about before where you think, okay, level must be the area level of a place. So I would need to go into the levels tab and then find the area level of it, and then that would be the whole thing. Wrong. It's actually kind of broken, maybe not correct. This level min actually refers to the level ID. For some reason, they pointed it at the level ID. So what is the level ID? It is literally just like a key used for areas in the game. So your Act 1 town is 1, right? Rogue Encampment is ID 1. Bloodmoor is 2. Cold Plains is 3. Stonyfield is 4. This is like your ID number that you give to any employee or whatever it is. And you just give them the next number in it and whatever. This, for some reason, points to level min, which means you are not finding a combat shrine in your Bloodmoor, your Cold Plains, your Stonyfield, your Dark Wood, your Black Marsh, or your Tamo Highland. Because the level min is 8, which means it doesn't spawn until the Den of Evil, Cave, Underground, Hole, Pit, Cave 2, blah, 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 Burial Grounds, Crypt, all of these. So this is where combat shrines will spawn. This is where combat shrines will not spawn. This is in normal, this is in nightmare, and this is in hell. Very weird. Again, it doesn't really make sense that you wouldn't be getting a combat shrine in the Black Marsh in hell because they pointed it at level ID instead of at the area level, which makes a lot more sense. But that's how it works in the game. Maybe a random bug or something they overlooked when they were assigning it, and it's just how it is. So what does this mean? Of course, I've talked about this before. It means that getting the shrines that are going to be your like 1s and 2s and 3s and stuff can be found a lot earlier in the game. So if I'm looking for an experience shrine, oh, look at that. Level min 1, which means, I keep going there, it can spawn anywhere. So the Bloodmoor at a level of 2 has a very good chance of giving me an experience shrine. Because what shrines am I actually going to be getting there? I'm going to get refilling shrines, health and mana, which are their own little separate ones, right? So the ones that we'd be like shifting out really are going to be a refilling shrine. Those are the exchange still. A skill shrine, mana recharge, stamina, and experience. And then the Shrine of Veneers, which rolls into a gem shrine. So this is actually a shrine that doesn't exist in the game, but it exists in the files. And it temporarily would reverse your character's name. So if my name was Llama, it would be a mall. If my name was Tulsa, it would be a slut. Right, so it just reverses your character's name. It doesn't actually do that. They decided, never mind, we're not going to put that in the game. And so instead, whenever the Shrine of Veneers rolls, it actually just rolls as a gem shrine. Just a fun little thing to know. So you can get that. Portal Shrine, Gem Shrine, Fire Shrine, Monster, Exploding, and Poison. All of these can roll. However, these shrines down here, I believe, all roll off of the same effect class, which you can see right here. And so they're actually like more rare to roll. Right. So an experience shrine is going to roll as often as like one of these 6 shrines will roll. So that's why you'll run into a lot more experience shrines and stamina shrines and mana recharge shrines and skill shrines. These 4 shrines plus a refilling shrine are really going to be the 5 shrines that you're going to get in the early places. And then one of these shrines will be like the 6th shrine, right? So that's just something to note is, and here you can see actually there is a rarity. Well, that's not it, because rarity would not be the same here of this. So yeah, these are going to be more rare as a conglomerate, essentially the magic shrine in itself. So that's just something small to note. But this is why we've talked about, again, farming for experience shrines in the Cold Plains or the Stony Field right off a waypoint is much better than farming it later in the game, because trying to find an experience shrine off of like, oh, I got a shrine next to my River of Flame waypoint. Well, the River of Flame is ID, let's see it, 107, which every single shrine can roll. So now I'm also having resist fire, resist cold, resist lightning, resist poison, armor shrines, combat shrines, right? Like I'm having all these extra shrines that I have to roll against, which means my chances of an experience shrine are going to be less. So farming those in the early places can be better. Again, these are the 5 that you find, really the most. These, refilling, and then one of the ones below. This is also why a gem shrine, one of the best places to get gem shrines is like the Stony Field. If you can just get it right there, because you have gem shrine, require or level min 4. And if we go up here, level min 4 is the Stony Field, which means your Stony Field is going to be a great place. The Dark Wood would also be a great place because you're not really adding anything in there. The Black Marsh should also honestly be fine for it, because you're not adding anything else in there. I guess maybe an armor shrine gets added So it's a little bit worse once you go to like Darkwood and stuff. But you will still note that anytime if you get the gem shrine or the shrine of veneers, you're going to be getting another gem shrine where you can upgrade a gem, which again, I've talked about. I'll talk really quickly again. For a gem shrine, you are looking at the longest since interacted gem in your inventory. So this means if I have a chipped ruby, a flawed emerald, and a sapphire in my inventory, if I pick up the sapphire and put it back down, then pick up the flawed emerald and put it back down, and I click a shrine, I will get a flawed ruby because the chipped ruby was the longest since interacted with. I could also just drop all the gems except that one to get it. But if there's a specific one in your inventory and you have multiple in your inventory, it's always the longest since interacted that will be the one that will get upgraded from the shrine. So just something to note right there. So that is for gem shrining, which can be really nice. Again, just to have over on the side, you know, I just need to get a couple perfect rubies for some crafting, whatever it is. Boom, boom, boom. I go to the stony field. I find a couple shrines and I just run that over and over and over again. I hit my gem shrines and I get my perfect rubies, right? Very, very simple, nice and easy. So that kind of covers those. And let's go back to all of the shrines again and some uses. So again, mana recharge shrine, honestly, just useful in the very early stages of the game before you really get mana potions online. Beyond that, a pretty worthless shrine. Armor shrine, again, not really ever worthless. Just kind of a trash shrine. I don't even bother clicking it. Combat shrine is extremely useful to use if you want to go and like fight against Diablo, right? Or fight against Duriel or fight against whatever boss, and you are a character that has physical damage. So let me go into the game really fast. And I'll show you guys what I mean. So let's go here. So this would be an example of having River of Flame Shrine. And you can see it rolled Resist Lightning, which again is level 32 ID. So it can roll in the River of Flame because River of Flame is 107, but it cannot roll in the early sections, right? So I could, farm this a few times if I wanted. There's stamina, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do this forever, but the idea would be if you come across a shrine like a combat shrine, it can be really nice because you can use it over and over again, right? We talked about right here, it has a recharge of 5 minutes. This is the 5 in-game minutes. And so you can actually use it over and over for all your bosses, again, assuming you don't leave the game. So what I would like to do here, if I was like, I found it here, I would go in, I'd clear the Chaos Sanctuary, and then before I fought Diablo, I'd TP back, I'd come to the River of Flame, grab the Combat Shrine, go back in, and then fight Diablo. And I can do this for Andariel, I can do this for Duriel, I can do this, right? Any of the bosses, I can do this for Ancients. Any of the like bosses that you get to, it can be just super helpful to just go and do that really quickly because, again, it's a massive attack rating boost and still 200% ED being added to your weapon, so your damage does get increased also and can just be super, super nice and a nice, easy way to farm. All of the resist shrines, nothing I really ever like come back on that much. You could potentially, if you felt, you want a little safety, you have a cold shrine, get it for Duriel again. The 5 minutes still ticks while the area is unloaded. Yes, you don't have to be in there. Like, you can just go away and then come back, and after 5 minutes, it's there. Yeah, so all of those are really nice, getting all of this. And again, this is nice for, like, the Great Marsh. You can have it, or just anywhere that there's souls. I love picking up Resist Lightning for those areas. Resist Fire is really nice if I'm going through, like, the Flare Jungle with all the shamans and stuff. So the resist can be good. Resist poison also gives you 100% poison length reduction. That isn't capped at 75%. So that's really nice. Makes you kind of immune to poison. Thank you, Dark. The skill shrine, again, has +2 to all skills. Super nice. And so this one is one that I'm also, especially as a caster, coming back for because it's got +5, or it's 5 minutes, right? So if I'm fighting a boss again and I'm waiting for Diablo to spawn, I can go back, grab that skill shrine at the River of Flame, head back in and kill, and now I've got +2 to all skills. So again, as you're playing through, these are more helpful. Once you're like an endgame character and you're fully stacked, whatever, right? It doesn't matter as much. But as you're playing through, these are really nice. Also remember that +2 to all skills is increasing things like masteries, is increasing your summons, is increasing all of this. So when I have a skill shrine, I can go and resummon my entire army, and all of that army is now +2 to skill, and then until it dies, it will remain that because it's on summon. So even once the skill shrine drops off, if I summoned my skeletons and my mages and my golem and all these things at +2 skill levels, they're going to remain at that +2. Now, if there are extra skeletons I was able to summon with the skill shrine or something, those will die off. But the ones that I summoned that remain will still have the +2. So just a nice little bonus there. Again, Stamina Shrine, pretty much just at the very start of the game is useful. Otherwise, pretty worthless. Though it can be nice in like Act 3 with all the itchies and stamina sappers. So that's the place that I do kind of enjoy that one. Experience Shrine is just the best shrine. It's just so good. One of the big things that I like to do is really make sure that when I pick this up is when I'm going to be killing. So if you're on the point where you're just going to be running forward, don't bother like picking this up, set a TP, come back from a waypoint and get it, and then use it for all of that. Fire Shrine, one of my favorite places to get this is in the Chaos Sanctuary. If you have it there, don't touch it, save it for Diablo. Once Diablo spawns, bring him close to it and touch it, and he'll lose half his health. This is assuming you're not like a sorceress who can just static him down immediately or something. But it can be a nice way to just like do a ton of damage to Diablo. Otherwise, you're pretty much, again, using it. You can drag some like boss groups around it and stuff and then do a bunch of damage to them that way. And I talked about poison already for like recognition and stuff. And then gem shrines we talked there. So that, I'd say, gives like most of an understanding of kind of where to use these and all these things. The last thing I want to talk about is the fact that I kind of lied a little bit at the start. I said level min means you will not spawn these other shrines in these areas, but that is not 100% true. So there's a little bit of something called Diablo Math that does exist within the game, just like you have Blizzard Time. Maybe I guess you have Blizzard Math as well. And so what will happen is it will try and pick a shrine when it picks a shrine to spawn. So it will go through and say, what shrine am I putting into the Stony Field? And it'll look and it'll say, boom, and it'll just pick from all the shrines and say, resist lightning. That's level 32. Stony Field is level 4 or ID 4. It can't go there. Let me re-roll. And it'll re-roll it. It'll do this, I want to say 7 times. I have the math in my other video exactly. Essentially, it'll do this multiple times until eventually it just gives up. So if it re-rolls the same kinds of shrines that can't, let's just say that it rolls these shrines right here over and over again for like 7 times. Eventually the game, so it doesn't get caught in some weird infinite loop, will just stop and accept whatever it has rolled, and that will become the shrine. So in those rare cases, you can find a combat shrine in your Bloodmoor, a resist lightning shrine in your Cold Plains, etc., right? These shrines technically can spawn in those areas, but it's going to be very rare because it's only going to happen when it has failed to roll a shrine that is acceptable over and over again and just eventually bricked out. This is also how you could do things like get Holy Shield and mods that couldn't spawn on scepters to spawn on scepters and vendor shops, because it would just keep rolling over until it would say, all right, I'm not going to get an infinite loop. And then it would just put it on there. So this was a really nice thing that you could actually get. But in D2R, they fixed that. So those no longer exist. in D2R. They've actually fixed it there, but they haven't fixed it for shrines, so you still can sometimes find broken or forbidden shrines in areas that they shouldn't be because of that logic. So that is a one lie or extra detail about it that you should know. But again, for the most part, if you're looking for like an experience shrine or a gem shrine or a skill shrine or whatever, the earlier you go, the better your odds of getting it, especially for skill and experience. These are going to be very common, about a 20% chance, maybe just a little under, of getting those in your Bloodmoor, in your Cold Plains, in your Stony Field. And then as you start to go through the higher and higher level places, you start adding in armor shrines and combat shrines and resist shrines and stuff to drop those chances a little bit more. Whew. So that is a faster breakdown of shrines that, again, tries to talk a little bit more about the use cases for them. Skill and experience really are kind of your kings, especially experience shrines later on. Though you have to remember, again, in hell, they're going to pop off quickly. A lot of mobs are cursed in hell. So you have to always be kind of aware, is there a cursed monster nearby? Does it have something like Holy Fire Aura, where if I get hit with that, it's gonna proc onto me, so I need to like stay really far away? Is it a ranged hero that's going to shoot an arrow? Is it a beetle? And if any of its lightning bolts from that beetle hit me, I get cursed, right? There's like a lot of ways that they can do it. And yeah, the last thing, no, remember, in hell, in normal, in nightmare, that level ID is the exact same. So the nightmare Stony Field has better chances of an experience shrine than the normal River of Flame. And, you know, all of that. Yeah. Hopefully this gave you a little more insight into shrines. Again, if you watch that other video, you probably have a decent idea, but hopefully this gave you a little more knowledge and thought around using like gem shrines and then just kind of where you should be using shrines throughout. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace, everybody.